Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most people are going to be emotionally unavailable. For the people who want to do some work, they will get to be emotionally available. And for the precious few, they'll learn how to become emotionally secure. So, my question to you is which one are you? I ask this because we are in episode 6 of a 6-part series, folks, on the emotional security spectrum. And I genuinely want you to dive into your emotional arena with me here in today's episode and figure out, where are you on the spectrum? Because this is episode 6, we're going to be focusing on emotional security. If you don't know where you are on the spectrum, here's a fun tool. Go into our show notes and take the emotional security quiz. It will be the easiest way in under 5 minutes for you to figure out not only where you are in the spectrum, but where you can go, right? It'll give you the next 3 steps on how to go from your current profile to the next one. Please remember as you listen in today, as I hope you have for all of these episodes, and if you take that quiz, that your current profile is a reflection of how you have survived up to this point. It's what has protected you. But I am here to invite you to level up in your emotional arena, to level up in life, in love, in leadership. I want you to be more confident and secure at your core. And I don't want it to be performative. Yeah. From the center out, not from the outside in. And so, with that said, let me remind you about where we've come from. Last episode to this episode, we focused on emotional vulnerability to emotional security. Now, if this is not ringing any bells for you or you are new to this episode, here is the first golden nugget that I sort of want to give to you here. Grab a journal or get ready to click save mentally. Here we go. Emotional fitness plus emotional wealth is what equals emotional security. Emotional fitness is the skills that you develop to regulate yourself. Emotional wealth is what you do when you intentionally invest in relationships so that you get a particular return. And when you have emotional fitness and emotional wealth over time, guess what you get? Emotional security. Yes, genuine confidence and security at your core that ripples out to the people around you. And yes, the world at large. Okay. So, with that said, that's the equation that we're looking at. And of course, our first 3 episodes focused on the 3 profiles in emotional fitness. Our last 3 episodes focused on emotional wealth. And so, without further ado, today's profile has come from number 5 to number 6, emotional vulnerability to emotional security. I'm going to give you in a nutshell what emotional vulnerability is. This is the next golden nugget that I want to leave with you, so get ready. Emotional vulnerability says, I own my emotions. At this point, emotional vulnerability recognizes that it's already emotionally available, which is a choice. People who do the work to actually become emotionally available now have the wherewithal to recognize, snap, crackle, pop, Nina, it's a choice. I didn't realize it was a choice before, but it is a choice. And now I have access to make that choice. Yes, that's what I want. Okay. So now that we know it's a choice, the emotionally vulnerable individual says, I know that it's a choice and I am choosing to show up as myself, and I am choosing to share vulnerably when I am uncomfortable. Even when it's uncomfortable, I choose to share vulnerably to go deeper. That right there is the core essence of an emotionally vulnerable individual. They intentionally share in order to go deeper. Between that profile and the next one, emotionally secure, how do you level up from vulnerable to secure? Not only can you be yourself everywhere you go, but you manage to hold space for others, go deeper in relationship, and still hold space for yourself. Okay. You set boundaries confidently and securely. That is the main difference between emotionally vulnerable and secure. And so I want you to ask yourself right now that very question. Do I know how to set boundaries confidently and securely in a way that benefits me, others, and the world at large? Because the biggest challenge that I see in my clients, and yes, in myself, folks, I'm going to call myself in on this one. The biggest challenge that I see between vulnerable and secure is that we struggle to set a boundary because we want to be vulnerable, because we want to go deeper and build that wealth and build those relationships. We will keep digging, keep going, even when we may have signs that the other person that we're trying to go deeper and trying to build more with doesn't actually have capacity to go deeper with us. That is the uncomfortable truth of emotional vulnerability and of emotional security in general, folks, of relationships in general. In our last episode, we really dived into a personal story of mine that really helped me understand the difference between emotional vulnerability, emotional availability, and then we also touched on emotional unavailability, all in the same episode, so that you can really get a perspective on what these things look like. Now, you don't have to listen to the last episode in order to understand what we're about to go through, but it might be helpful. Yeah. So, without further ado, I've given you some golden nuggets so far. You've got the emotional security equation, you've got what emotional vulnerability looks like, as well as emotional security, right? It's still being able to be yourself everywhere you go, hold space for yourself and others, and you can set those boundaries confidently and securely. For those of you who were new to boundaries, boundaries in the empowered human world does not mean that we are shutting people down. It does not mean that we're minimizing them or cutting them out. That would be a powered way of engaging in the world. But you, my friend, are leaning into the empowered human world in which we recognize that if I need to invalidate myself or you in order to be okay, I'm not empowered. Sorry, just an uncomfortable truth, yet a truth nonetheless. And so I am going to give you an image today, and I want you to stay in the metaphor. I want you to stay in the image because that is where it is going to make the most sense to you before you apply it to your real world life. Okay. So let's start there. Grab that journal, get ready to click save. I want you to imagine that you have an island. Okay. Now, this is not new imagery for anybody who's been listening, but we're going to dive right on into it. I want you to imagine that you have your own island, that I have my own island, that in fact, every person you know has their own island. And on that island is your unique individual culture. Now, this is really important because when we think about your unique individual culture, what we're really saying is that you have your own biology, right? Physically, how you show up. You've got your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. You have your own lived experiences. These are the things you were actually present for. You have a narrative experience. These are the stories that you have been told by other people, but you weren't present for. And then you have historical experience. This is the history that surrounds one or more of your identities, even if you were not there to experience it yourself. Now, there's so much more we could say about individual culture, but what I really want you to focus on in this episode is that image of the island. Because if you are emotionally secure on your island, you have emotional sovereignty. This means you understand what's happening. You can label what is going on with you. You can be available to yourself and vulnerable to go deeper with others. And all of that is what's going to lend you to security because you're going to set some boundaries between your island and someone else's island. Now, stay in that metaphor because a lot of us are still struggling with control and not engaging in courage. And we love courage here, folks, but let me explain to you the difference using this image. If you're still about control and you're still struggling in the emotional fitness part of your journey, no shame, okay? But if you're still about control, you're still trying to control the fact that it is inevitably going to rain. You're trying to say, I'm going to stop it from raining. Nina, let me tell you something. It's not going to snow here. It's not going to thunderstorm here. The weather's going to be perfect all the time. And I'm going to tell you, you're still trying to control. But if you lean into your edge and you can really dare to show up courageously, you're going to recognize that true courage lies in being able to weather the inevitable storm. You realize once you have reached emotional availability to yourself, right? When you're available to yourself, we don't control the storms that come. They are inevitable. They will always come. But how you weather the storm, Therein lies the true gifts and the true work that you've done. Yeah. So stick with the island metaphor because when you are feeling emotionally sovereign, right, when you're feeling secure, you know who you are and how to set those boundaries. But when you're not, this is when you might start to lob some missiles at somebody else's island. Now, what is a missile designed to do? Attack, to minimize, to tear down something or someone else. That's literally what a missile is designed to do, in many cases, to destroy. But I want you to imagine what that does to your relationships. For my clients who are in the military, one of the images that we will use when they really are struggling, they're saying, I've got conflict with my partner, whether that's professionally, personally, right? I've got conflict with my kid. I've got conflict between my island and somebody else's island. And I'm really struggling because I'm telling them this and they're telling me that. And we're just like, it's like we're constantly going back and forth at each other. If there is a lack of respect and you are lobbing missiles at each other, the phrasing and the framework that we use, right, or the imagery that we use here is why are you engaging in blue on blue? And for my members in the military, they understand this. This is friendly fire, folks. This is why are you attacking someone who's supposed to be on your team, even if you're in different locations? We don't want blue on blue. We don't want friendly fire. If you're on the same team, we need to figure out how to recognize and remember that we want a bridge between these islands. We don't want breakdowns in communication, and we certainly don't want blue on blue. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? I hope that you are taking notes, folks, because at this point, I really want you to ask yourself, where have you seen this in your own life? What's going on your island? And how secure are you with other people's islands? And if you could right now, if you were to pause this episode, in fact, and actually write down the names of islands, yes, people's islands, that you currently have conflict with, that you currently have a broken down bridge with, that you currently are lobbing missiles at, who would those people be? And are you intentionally showing up? Here's a reality that as you grow in emotional security, so too do you grow in emotional capacity. The least emotionally secure individuals, we have a title for that. It is emotionally unavailable. And emotionally unavailable individuals generally and genuinely can't see that they are holding themselves back and also limiting themselves in other relationships. An emotionally unavailable individual genuinely can't see this. And so there's often breakdowns in communication, there's often breakdowns in relationship. And if that's you, my friend, don't judge yourself for it, but do see it for what it is. Recognize it and call yourself in right now. If you've become aware that there's a pattern there, you've now reached emotional awareness. It's phase 2. Emotional awareness says, I see that something's going on, but I can't quite put a label to it. I can't quite name it. This is why phase 3 is emotionally literate. Emotional literacy means you can label your different emotions. You know when you're angry, sad, disgusted, afraid, joyful. You know and understand when these things are present for you. But you might not know how to express that to someone else or even own the truth to yourself consistently. And that's where phase 4 comes in, emotional availability. Emotionally available individuals recognize what's happening. They see the patterns, they know what's theirs, and they're able to separate it from someone else's. They don't always express that. They're not always available to other people, but they are available to themselves. That's phase 4. And of course, once you start becoming more available to other people, you're entering phase 5, emotional vulnerability. Emotional vulnerability says, I can share what's going on my island, and I recognize that it's vulnerable, but I want to go deeper with you. I want a stronger bridge. I want a stronger connection with you. I want greater emotional wealth. And so that's why I do this. But sometimes, because I really want that, it is hard for me to hold a boundary. And this is where our final phase, phase 6, comes in, emotional security, because once you've done emotional vulnerability enough times and you start to recognize, who does and does not have capacity to go deeper with you, you start setting a boundary sooner with what you will and will not take on your island. We set those boundaries, and it's not to push someone else away, it's so that you don't lob missiles. You set those boundaries to protect yourself and to protect the other people around you. That is the very definition of an emotionally secure individual. And so when you stay in the metaphor of your island, can you imagine an island that has boundaries? It doesn't just let anybody walk on this island. It doesn't just invite anybody over to engage and experience you, right? But it is willing to build bridges. It is willing to invest in relationships. It is willing to go deeper. It's willing to do work, right? Everybody's island breaks down sometimes, folks. That's the nature of life, is that we break down on occasion. But the emotionally secure individual and the empowered human understands that in order to level up, we have to lead ourselves first and then lead in relationship with others. But we always start with the self first. If you can't cultivate how to lead yourself, how on earth are you going to help lead in a relationship? I hope that this is making sense to you as we move forward, with putting yourself into the shoes of wherever you are in the spectrum. Of course, if you don't know, take the quiz. It's in the show notes. It will give you again the profiles for where you are currently and how you can level up. Just remember where you are, it's protecting you, right? It's been protecting you. But if you think that you could have capacity for more, and you think that you deserve more in this life and deeper relationships, my hat is off to you because you are on the way, my friend. You're on the way. Let's keep going. Yeah, let's keep going. Some things that I do want to recognize about emotional security, and I think these are critically important, folks. Emotionally secure people still feel fear. We still feel grief and anger and regret. In fact, every human emotion that is possible for us to feel, an emotionally secure individual still feels. What we don't do is we don't shut down and disappear forever. We recognize and notice what's present. We call ourselves in to do the work. We reset, regroup, recalibrate, and then we get back into the emotional arena. The only way out is through. And so, yes, we still feel all the feelings, but we don't abandon ourselves and we don't abandon the people we love. If we need time and space, we're going to communicate that. I need a minute, I need time, I need space. We may not know how long we need time and space for, but that communication part is critical. It sets the boundary and keeps us safe and keeps the people we love safe. Not only that, but we are not outsourcing our worth. My worth and value as an emotionally secure, empowered human, it doesn't come from what someone else says. It doesn't come from if someone else accepts me. The courage that I have to exist as myself and the healing work that I have done to become emotionally secure shows up most obviously in the fact that I feel like I belong everywhere I go. Why? Because I carry home within me now, everywhere I go. This is true for you as an emotionally secure individual. You've done the work for courage, healing, and belonging. It's three pillars that we look at for an empowered human. The last few bits that I'll say is we recognize that safety and security is a matter of perspective. And we understand that scary is not the same as dangerous. And I want you to click save on that and I want you to percolate on that. Scary, we can do scary things, we can do uncomfortable. Dangerous is a little bit different. And so only you can really identify whether something is scary or whether something is dangerous. But until you start to really ask yourself and get curious about the world around you, if you're not quite emotionally secure just yet, you might be casting things in a dangerous light that are actually just scary. And that's going to limit you. I don't want to limit you. I want you to feel confident and secure at your core and to cultivate that so that it ripples out to others in the world at large. And a big part of that is being able to recognize at your core courageously, is this dangerous or is this actually just scary? The last image that I want to leave with you, I've said it a million times, but I really want to leave this one with you again. The emotionally secure individual is not controlling and gripping tighter. We are liberating ourselves. I don't need to control the people around me, what they think, what they feel, what they believe, how they behave. What I do need is to be able to liberate myself to think, feel, and behave in ways that serve me and others that I love and people in the world around me. So stay with that image that we don't control the fact that there will be rain, that there will be storms, but we can build courage to weather the storm. So, with that said, my adventure challenge to you between this episode and the next episode is to, of course, go take the quiz, figure out where you are in the emotional security spectrum, and figure out what your next 3 steps are. If there was something really juicy in this episode for you, I invite you to take it and run with it. If there was something that you want to percolate on, I'd love that. Take it, put it on the shelf, come back to it. Don't avoid it, come back to it. And if there was something you're like, wow, that really didn't work for me, take it and throw it in the trash. Don't throw out the whole episode, my friend. You are doing the work to show up in the emotional arena, and my heart is with you. I am with you in spirit. And so with that said, take action between this episode and the next episode. That's what the adventure challenge is take action and level up. Get more confident in how you lead in life, in love, in your relationships, be they personal or professional. Level up in that emotional arena so that you are genuinely confident and secure at your core, not performative. We're not working from the outside in, only the inside out. From here on out, folks, from the inside, let that cultivate and work on outward so it ripples out to others in the world at large. You matter so much. And the work that you do really does make a difference. And so I hope that you've explored this. I hope that you have leveled up with me because that is what I did plan for today, folks. Thank you so much for being in the emotional arena with me so that we can get more confident and more secure as we level up, right? As we confidently seek to lead in life and love. All right. In our upcoming episode, we're going to be focusing on new year, new you. Yes. And being able to set some goals for 2026 that really bring the year home for you. I'm talking about more emotional security, folks, and I am not letting it go. I am incredibly, incredibly passionate about this. I'm ending the year strong with it, and I am starting the year strong with it. Emotional security from my heart to yours. That is what I wish for you. It's my Christmas wish for you because I know this is our Christmas slash holiday winter December episode. But know that I am with you. I'm doing the work, I'm in the arena, and I am with you. Okay. I am so looking forward to dive into the emotional arena with you in our next episode. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye for now.